Great. We are ready for Team 7. Well, depending on where you are, it's either good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests from around the globe, we are Team 7, proudly representing Canada and North America. It is my honor to welcome you to this exciting event in celebration of Toastmasters Centennial. We are privileged to have an exceptional lineup of speakers, including past international presidents, past international directors, past regional advisors, accredited speakers, world champions of public speaking, distinguished winners, finalists, and semi-finalists from various parts of the world. They are here to inspire, entertain, and share their incredible journeys of mentoring and mastery within Toastmaster as they speak about how. We can certainly learn a lot from them. So I ask that you sit back, relax, and enjoy the inspirational presentations from these extraordinary speakers. And before I call on the Toastmaster of the day, I just want to share a quick video for Team 7. Oh. Oops. It's coming, it's coming. Let's see this one. I need to share the. Okay, here we go. Just a minute. And with that exciting video, I would like to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day to take us on this exciting journey. Mara Nicarono is a distinguished Toastmaster, fluent in Italian, Spanish, and English. She served as area director for 5 clubs, earning the Distinguished Area Director Award in 2016 to 2017, and is now pursuing her second DTM. Maura introduced monthly newsletters and online videos for the Dublin International Conference, revitalized struggling clubs, and has been featured on Irish International News for her contribution to Toastmasters. She's passionate about community service and supporting others in their communication and leadership journey. With that, I'll turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day. The floor is yours, Maura.
Thank you very much, team leader. First of all, could you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you see me? Yes.
Yes.
Now, I want everybody, all the audience, type quickly, where are you from? Canada, America, Ireland, UK, come on, quick. I just speak 5 languages. And I want to see all of you telling me Netherlands, wow, Malaysia, China, wow, come on, Saudi Arabia. Oh, wow, America, Sydney, Philippines, Turkey, Toronto. Oh my God, I am so happy now. We can do everything except to be boring. So we are not having that today now. We cannot shake hands, we cannot hug one another, but we can enjoy and learn. These are the key elements of Toastmasters. I want to say welcome in English, bienvenidos in Spanish, benvenuti in Italian, yokoso in Japanese, and in some language. And I need to learn more languages in future. Now, today is a special occasion. We are dressed in purple as a 100th anniversary. Yes, we need our champagne of 100th anniversary of Toastmasters. And remember, our founder, Dr. Ralph Smiley, tell us, our visionary founder of Toastmasters, emphasized the importance of learning in the moment of enjoyment. We are here to learn from each other and enjoy the occasion today. Yes. Now, our team is team number 7 and is all about leadership and mastering. Now, one of my job is explain to you what I think and I have lived as a leader. Now, first of all, you can see now on my right, on my left, the 25 characteristics and qualities that a leader should have. I want to mention to you only 5 that I have lived, right? One of them is integrity. The integrity is in my genes, transparency in my genes. I can tell you with all my passion that I have been in situations, not only in Toastmasters, but in my life, that I have a test of integrity. And nobody can remove that from there because my father, my mother, my father who is in heaven watching us today, yes, he is tuning in, is that integrity. The second, I call IICCC. I for integrity. I for intelligence. And then communication. Communication is extremely important because you can be intelligent, right? You can have integrity, but if you don't have communication, where you will stand? Sometimes, I will tell you, sometimes what is not told, say more than what people told you. Yes. And the other is courage. You need to have the courage. How many times we have seen our great leaders? Courage. You can have all these 25 or 24, we can say, but without courage, you have nothing. Nothing. I have been in my position that you can lose everything, but we are in life to live once. And the last one, creativity. Yes, creativity makes the difference. And I put this 5 because I have living daily, and I want to share with you now because we are speaking about leadership. I love what Peter Drucker, the management guru, says. The only skill that you will important in the 20th century is the skill of learning new skill. Everything else becoming obsolete over time, and management is doing things right And leadership is doing the right things. And I can tell you from my side, from my heart, for my soul, for everything, if you do right, you will not have any wrong. Now, for finalizing about the topic of leadership and mastering, I can tell you the beautiful words of Dr. Ralph Smedley, our founder visionary. He says, your Toastmaster Club is your laboratory. Would you try experiment in better communication? And the first result of speech training is self-discovery. Understanding comes through communication, and through communication, we will find the way to peace. So tonight, we are having the best time of our lives. It is once in a life. I feel really in heaven. We are having 11 beautiful, amazing, inspiring, the best people to meet tonight. If you are, it's night or in the morning, it's in the morning, beautiful day to wake up. And in the afternoon, I can tell you, these people are amazing. And thank you for being here today. Now, what we are doing, we are having 4 speakers, right? And then we have questions and answers. For the audience, if you are trying to ask questions, you put in the chat, and I do, because we are short in time. And then we have another 4 speakers, and you have the questions and answers. And then actually we have our fun master. And then two later, we have 3 other speakers and our questions and answers, and we need to wrap up. Now, I want to tell you the next speaker, the first speaker. We cannot start, let me see your faces. I want everybody smiling. Yes, I want everybody smiling. And if you have your camera, yes, clap, say, woo, woo. Or you know what, send love. Send love to everybody with emoji or with your hands, but show love. And if you are your video off, well, showing the emojis. I believe that he will love it to see his beautiful faces on the screen. Now, I can tell you, it will be a great pleasure that I introduce, yes, to you. Our first speaker is David Brooke. Yes, David Brooke is our world champion of public speaker winner in 1990. Distinguished Toastmasters David Brooks triumphed over initial field of 25,000. Yes, Toastmasters around the world to become the 1990 world champion of public speaking. In the process, he learned what makes a good speech and what makes a good speaker. Since then, he has shared what we learned with more Toastmasters than any other Toastmasters in the world. Now, I cannot start if I cannot see your faces, yeah? So I will appreciate it very much, looking all the happy faces. And now we start with David Brooke with his speech, don't compete because you are the best. Become the best because you compete. Please give a happy welcome to David Brooks. David Brooks, the floor is yours.
He's on mute.
The Zoom master can help us to unmute.
How is that?
That's perfect. Yes, we can hear you. Woo!
And you can see me okay.
Well, yes, I can see you. I can see you and I can hear you.
Let's try that. How's that?
Yes, that's okay. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, I want you to see his smile. This is what we are looking for. David Brooke, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, first I want to commend the World Travelers Toastmasters on this marvelous celebration, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. My message for you today is a very simple one. It can be summed up in one single word, and that is compete. Compete, not just in speech contests, but in everything you do. Why? Because competition is the fastest route to the greatest growth. Competition is the fastest route to the greatest growth. I learned this by accident. Let me take you back to when I first discovered this principle. It was all the way back in 1986. And yes, I know many of you right now are rolling your eyes saying, 1986, are you kidding me? I wasn't even born then. I'm fully aware of that. No need to belabor that point. I don't want to hear about it. But it appears that the image on the screen has disappeared. Is that still going on, or did we lose the image?
We can
We
see
lost
And
the
now I seem
image.
to have lost everything.
Yeah,
We can see you. We are perfectly fine. We can see you.
we can see you and hear you.
See and hear you.
You can hear everything okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Look great.
Okay, because everything went black on my screen and went silent. So just one of the little technological glitches we'll work around. Well, back to 1986, I joined Toastmasters in that year, and it was a brand new club. We had only chartered just a week or two before. I had been to the first or second meeting, and the club president announced, I understand we are supposed to conduct a club contest in 2 weeks. And he encouraged us all to consider to join it. None of us in this club had any experience in Toastmasters. We certainly had no experience with contests. We didn't know anything about it. It just sounded like fun. So we decided, yes, we'll have a contest. That is, I decided I would compete in the contest along with a few of my friends. Well, 2 weeks went by, and when it was time for the contest, those of us who entered stood, we spoke, and when they announced the results, I had won. And I felt pretty good about that. My first contest, and I had won. Now, the fact that there were only 2 contestants that day, and the fact that the other guy went overtime is not important. All that mattered was that I won. And I was feeling wonderful until the club president said, and now I understand you go to compete in a month at an area contest. And I said, oh, there's more? And he said, yes. I said, an area contest? He said, that's what it says. I said, what's an area? He said, I don't know, but I think it's bigger than our club. And that's all I knew. And I would love to tell you that my competitive nature kicked in there. And I said, oh, I'll rise to that challenge. I'll go do that. But instead, it didn't. In fact, what I did was I looked for excuses as to why I could not go. Why? Because I didn't know what an area was. I didn't know what the standard competition was. I didn't know, for all I knew, an area could have been 8 US states. I had no clue. So I was afraid that I would embarrass myself and therefore embarrass my club. And I decided to look for excuses. But fortunately, sometimes the universe conspires not to let you off the hook. And I couldn't find an excuse that would stick. So I decided I have a month to prepare. I told myself as I began that journey, I am fully aware that when I go to this area contest, others may outspeak me, but no one will out-prepare me. And that's when I learned the value of competition, because I learned what it meant to set my own bar higher than I ever had before. Let me just ask you all a question. Have you ever at a club competition or a club just giving a club speech, have you ever determined, I know what I can get away with here? Because you know what the level of competition is among your group. And you know that you can simply coast through some speeches. If you're honest, you'll admit you probably have. In fact, here's a test. Here's how to tell if you've ever coasted at a Toastmasters club meeting. How many of you have ever written a club speech while you're driving to the club meeting? If you're raising your hand right now or shaking your head or grimacing, then it's because you knew what you could get away with. And that is coasting. And I say that coasting is fine as long as you realize the only way to coast efficiently is when you're going downhill. So at my club, I had determined what I could get away with. But at the area, I didn't know what I could get away with. I didn't know what the standard was. So I said, I will set my bar higher than I ever have before. So I worked like a madman for a month on that club speech, that is on that area speech. I went to that club, that area contest with my head down, thinking, okay, just don't embarrass myself and don't embarrass my club. I got up and I gave my speech. They announced the results at the end of the contest, and I had finished second in my first area contest, and I was euphoric. I didn't take home the biggest trophy. I didn't take home an area champion title, but I took home something much more important, because I realized just how much I had grown in that previous month. And that's when I learned a simple principle, and that is, I believe that I grew more in that 1 month preparing for an area contest than I had from all the previous weeks and months before. The following year, I went on and went to the division contest, and I competed at the division level. And at that level, I discovered I had grown so much more, and the growth was exponential. You see, your club is a wonderful place for friendship, for nurture, for encouragement, but it's not always your best place for the greatest, fastest growth. Why? Because unless you have some club members who are going to hold your feet to the fire and insist that you be your very best every time you stand to speak, to insist that you never coast, unless you have one of those people or more of those people in your club, then you're not likely to push yourself until it's out of self-preservation, as mine was. So that's what I learned from this process, was that I pushed myself to raise the bar higher than anyone else was willing to push me. And I grew more, I learned more. And that's the message that I share with all Toastmasters, whether it is speech contests, whether it's club building, whether it's anything in athletics outside of Toastmasters, anything in your life, if you will just say, no one will out-prepare me, no one will outwork me, then no one will ever beat you. That's my message for you today. The club, the competition is the greatest route to the greatest growth.
Thank you very much, David. And I just want to thank you. And I can tell you, you inspired me so much that I will compete. Now, our second speaker is Roger Caesar. Yes, he is the third place world champion of public speaking winner. And Roger Caesar inspired life-changing actions with impactful messages, empowering others to exceed their aspirations. As an entrepreneur and award winner speaker, including top 3 of the 2021 World Champions of Public Speaking, he shared his expertise through Caesar Empire Speaking and Coaching. Yes, he collaborates with global organizations, enhancing leadership and communication. Roger, memorable stories and charisma, energy resonate with all our audience, and he pursues his passion to help others find their greatness. And I am so happy to see you. And I just want to say thank you for coming here today. And I would like to introduce you. So, Roger Caesar, with his speech entitled, Got You, Caesar. Roger, please give me Please, Klaus, show love, please. We want to him feel welcome. Woo, Roger. Come in, the floor is yours.
I am in Chicago, Illinois. It is 2018, the World Championship of Public Speaking semifinals. I have just come off the stage with what I thought was a picture-perfect presentation. As I sit down in my seat, my fellow contestants congratulate me, told me I did an amazing job. The confidence is beaming within me. As the results are read, I'm eagerly waiting to hear my name because I am hoping for the first time in 3 tries, I will make it to the final stage of the World Championship of Public Speaking. The names are announced, and as they reach first place and they announce the name, I think to myself, that's not how you pronounce my name. After a while of sitting and hearing the celebrations and jubilations all over the room, I sat in my chair, my hands over my face, and the first words that came out of my mouth was, "Not again, not again." With tears streaming from my face, I can hear a familiar voice say to me, "Hey, hey, put your head up, wipe your face, and stand up. Don't do this here. Act like a champion. If you want to cry, do it in your room. But when you're in here, you walk around this room, you congratulate everybody here, and you act like a champion." Madam Toastmaster, fellow mentors, those were the words of my mentor, Jacqueline Payne. I have never forgotten it, because the last thing that she said before I got up and I started to walk around, and believe me, when you listen to Jacqueline Payne ever say anything, you move quickly. Let me just say that. But her last words as I got up and she put her hand on my shoulder was, "I got you." How many times have you told someone, "I got you"? I can recall when I first started in Toastmasters, and I walked through those doors and I saw many of the proficient speakers and leaders within my club, each one inspiring and motivating me to be better each time I went. What was more amazing was how many times they were willing to say, "Hey, do you need help? Can I help you with that speech? Can I teach you how to do that role? I got you." It's often a hard thing to realize as a speaker or as someone who wants to be the best that they can be, to reach out and get help from someone. But in this case, in this organization, one of the beauties is mentors. Jacqueline became my mentor way back then. And throughout the years, she has constantly given me great advice, helping me to learn more about my craft as a speaker, more about myself as a leader, more about me. There were times when Jackie was the cheerleader and cheered me on, and I loved it. But I think what I loved more than anything else was how she was able to also give me the hard advice that I wasn't prepared for, but needed. In the chat right now, I want to know who is a mentor to someone in their club. just flood it out as our Toastmaster did with where you're from. I want you to flood it out and tell me if you are a mentor to someone in your club. Look at this. The beauty of what I'm seeing right now is that you and I have the ability to be mentors to so many people. But in turn, what is also beautiful is, as a mentor, watching your mentees grow and become greatness. You know, being a mentor, if you really want to think about it, it's the bridge between the unknown and the known. They, in general, we as mentors, we are the guides that allow you to open your doors to possibilities. What Jacqueline had done for me over the years was allow me to see what I can truly be. But not only that, she showed me how to be a champion, and not a champion with a trophy. No, a champion as a person. When have you allowed others to become champions? That you watch them grow and become great citizens, not only in Toastmasters, but in life. When I look back on that day in 2018, what I remember most are those beautiful words, those stern words that were given to me by Jacqueline. But those words have stayed with me to this day. And every time I get an opportunity to work with someone and help them and mentor them to their greatness, it is those words from Jacqueline about standing up, put your head up, wipe your face, and act like a champion. Why? Because I got you. So today, as we continue celebrating 100 years of this beautiful organization, of all the memorable moments, the amazing achievements, and the dynamic dedication, let us continue to reach out and put our hands on many of our members in this organization and simply say, I got you.
Thank you very much, Roger. And I just want to say that after listening to your speech, I will hope to be acting as a champion, watching about mentor and mentorship. And you know what? I got you. Thank you very much. Woo, I want everybody clapping, everybody smiling, and also feel the privilege to say love to every speaker. Yes, yes. Ooh, mentors and mentorship. Now, our third speaker is Jim Kohli. Yes, I want to tell you everything about Jim. He's a past international director. Woo! And I must say that, yes, I want this energy. Thank you very much. And has been a Toastmaster since 2002. Jim has attained the Distinguished Toastmaster designation and served one term as International Director and 2 terms as Region Advisor. In 2019, he received a presidential citation from past international President Lard Dolly. And he has served as every club officer position at least once and continues to serve on committees in service to Toastmasters International. Oh, I love this smile. You're part of my team. Jim's excited for his opportunity to present to you today on the role of mentorship in Toastmasters as a part of this wonderful Toastmasters Centennial celebration. And I want everybody, please give a happy welcome. I want that he show the way because he
Good morning, good evening. Can everyone hear me okay? Looks like yes, thank you. I'm going to start off by telling you about my Toastmaster journey. And I'll apologize in advance. I lack drama in my presentation style, and I really admire the presenters that went before me. But you'll get to that. I'm stepping a little bit on my story here. When I joined Toastmasters in 2002, I did so because at that time, I was managing a large group of software engineers, and I knew that I was not connecting as well as I could. I connected very fine with my team, but not always connect laterally very well and upwards not very well. I don't know how relatable this might be for you. At that time, I think I operated in a space where I felt like if I presented the facts, the numbers, the logic, everything else was obvious. And it took me a little while in Toastmasters to realize I really needed to flex a little bit more in terms of my persuasive style. So at that time, that is why I joined Toastmasters. I did not understand the relationship at that time between communication and leadership. Now it all seems very obvious. When I went through my personal journey in Toastmasters, I hope my journey is relatable to yours. I was encouraged to be a club officer within 6 months of having joined. Then immediately I was encouraged to be an area officer, and then a division officer, and then a district officer, and then a region advisor, and then an international director. And all along the way, I was encouraged and mentored by those who had gone before me. Naturally, I was very suspicious. It felt like a trap of some kind. I'll tell you a little bit more about that, and I'm sure that is also relatable as well. I think sometimes when we are encouraged to take on more responsibilities, we're naturally inclined to consider at least two things. The what's in it for me factor, and that is, if I do this thing, what do I get back in terms of my investment of time? And then the other thing we frequently consider is, what could possibly go wrong? But I'll go back to that first question. Why should I be a volunteer leader in a nonprofit organization? Why would other people help me with their gentle counsel on complex problems? Why would I do the same thing for other people? Why would I encourage them? Or why would I mentor them? And why would I do to help them achieve their success? The answer is very simple. The what's in it for me principle in this situation is that by doing so, I became a better person and a better leader, not just in the workplace with my 27 engineers and not just with respect to the relationship I had with my manager and my peers, but also with the people around me, my family, my friends, new friends. So it became very clear to me that my experience changed me in a very positive way. I kind of felt like that was a possibility, even while I was considering the possibility that I'd overcommitted to something that I wasn't sure where it was going to go at the time. So I was at that time, and I continued being mentored in leadership because other servant leaders were there. They recognized my potential. They will recognize your potential as well. They recognized with optimism that I could help the organization as part of my journey, and I would also be improved as a person and as a professional. Their optimism enriched my personal and professional life. And I know that my optimism about current and future leaders will help them succeed. And they'll help our organization thrive for another 100 years, possibly longer. That's my hope. So when you are called upon to lead, take that opportunity, be optimistic, understand the what's in it for me factor is that it will help you be a better person, a better individual, a better member of society, and a better Toastmaster, and help the organization succeed as we go forward for another 100 years. Know that what's in it for you is a better future, and don't worry about the possibility that it's a trap, because it's not. It's there for you. It's all about self-improvement, and will help other people as well. That is my message for you today. I recognize I'm under time, but I don't want to take any more time than I need to get my message out there. Thank you so much. Back to you, Toastmaster Mora.
Thank you very much for being here tonight. And I just want to say to you, thank you. Now, our fourth speaker is Jim Kokocki. He's a past international president, and is a writer, speaker, and speech coach residing in St. John's, New Brunswick, Canada. After a first career that spanned information technology, sales, and marketing, Jim retired from Bell Alien Telecommunications in 2012. During 2015 and 2016, Jim served as international president for the Toastmasters. Yes, from 2017 to 2021, he served as a president and board chair for Arcade St. John. I hope I pronounced well, yeah? An organization that works with people with intellectual disabilities. In 2020, Jim published Secrets to Becoming an Effective Public Speaker, which is available in Amazon, and in several chapters in the locations. In 2021, his second book, Winter, Road, and Hockey, was also published with Amazon. So now I want to introduce you and give you also the name of your speech, which is 100 Years, Be Proud, Celebrate. Hockey! Woo! The floor is yours.
Thank you, Maura. Thank you, Tosin. Thank you, Eliza. Thank you for everybody who's been responsible for putting together this wonderful event. This is going fantastically well. You know, I joined this organization back in 1987, a very long time ago. And you know what the main reason I stay around is? The main reason I stay around is you and members like you. Sometimes I think we don't appreciate enough the amazing network of people that we've got access to. You guys are achievers. You're interested in my self-development. I'm interested in your self-development. We're here to support and mentor one another. And that's fantastic. I don't want to be around the complainers and the moaners. I want to be around Toastmasters like you guys. So thanks for being here today, and thanks for being part of my life, an important part of my life. Related to self-development, I want to tell you about a book I read earlier this year by a gentleman from the USA. His name's Robert Rubin. He was a very senior civil servant. He was responsible for managing the economy, simply is the best way to describe his role. Managing inflation and money supply and all that boring stuff, but all that important stuff. Robert Rubin. So he published a book about last year called The Yellow Pad. And I read it, and there's so much in it I loved. But here's the passage that I loved the most. He wrote about being on media and talking about the economy and lots of television exposure. And he said one day he got a letter. Do you remember letters? Old style letters with in an envelope with a stamp? He got a letter. And he opened the letter, and it said, the letter said, "Are you the Robbie Rubin I used to teach in grade 4? So I'm his grade 4 teacher. So he read it, and he wrote about that, and he said, well, look, of course, I'm the same Robbie Rubin she taught in grade 4. But in many ways, of course, he wasn't the same Robbie Rubin she taught way back in grade 4. And that was because of the jobs he had, the decisions he made, the education he pursued, the interest he developed. It's about the choices he made. So I ask you, are you the same person you were before you joined Toastmasters? When you joined Toastmasters, are you that same person? Yeah, in many ways you are, aren't you? But in many ways you're not. You've developed incredibly well. You're a result of the choices you make. Robert Rubin also writes about being wired to achieve. Just no matter what the goals are, he just pursues them with vim and vigor. And I think many Toastmasters are like that as well. We're wired to achieve, or we learn to achieve. So that's really important. That's a wonderful attribute for anybody in society to have. And if you think back to our founder, Ralph Smedley, we all know this organization was incorporated in 1924. That's what we're celebrating today. But Smedley started in 1905. He had a vague vision that the young men he was working with in the YMCA's, they needed a place to practice their communication and leadership skills. And he called these organizations clubs. He didn't call them lectures or classes. They were clubs, supportive, mutually supportive environments. So in 1905, he'd start a club in a YMCA. It would go well. He'd be transferred. That club would fail. He'd start another one. That club would do well. While he was there, he'd be transferred and it would fail. And it was only until 1924, 19 years later, that we had a critical mass and incorporated in California. Isn't that amazing? He's got a vision, and look what's come to be. Eliza and her team had a vision. Look what's come to be here today, 20 hours worth of exceptional speakers. And you've got a vision too. And some of us are uncomfortable with that, but you've got a vision of how you want to transform in the next 2 to 5 years. You've got a vision about things you'd like to see change in your company or your community, in your society, in your neighborhood. You've got a vision. And if this is sparking anything for you, I invite you to write that down, put it in your phone, put it on a piece of paper. What is that vision? And I'm not going to put anybody on the spot and say, share that today, but I am going to ask you to share that at your club. I think these make for wonderful speeches when you talk about your vision. And you can take the soft approach just to delivering that speech. Soft approach is to say, here's a problem I see in my community, and I've done some research, and here's what I found about it. And I'd really like to see some change there. That's the soft approach. The harder approach, the more assertive approach, is to say, hey, here's the problem I see in my community. It might be homelessness, it might be food insecurity, it might be food poverty, could be litter, could be all sorts of things you want to see change in your community. The stronger approach is to say, here's a problem I see in my community, and here's what I'm going to do about it. And when you deliver that speech, either with the softer approach or with the more assertive approach, I expect something's going to happen like this. Someone's going to say, I know somebody working in that field. Would you like me to connect you? Or they're going to say, I'm very interested in this too. I don't know how to proceed, but let's do it together. So I ask you, please deliver those speeches. Those are wonderful speech topics where you've got some passion. So please commit to me today that you'll deliver a speech on your vision, even though you might be uncomfortable with that term. Well, it's important that we celebrate Toastmasters, our achievements. I celebrate your achievements. If you take some of the lessons that you've gotten today from the speakers and will continue throughout today, you won't be the same person you are in 2 years as you are today. You're a result of the choices you make, of the direction you take, about the actions you choose to, those you choose to ignore, those you choose to act upon. So I implore you, please deliver that speech. Talk about your vision. You'll find people will rally around you. Toastmasters are wonderful, supportive individuals. You wouldn't be the same person today in 2 years when you take action. Back to you, Maura.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate it a lot for your speech. And now it is the time to ask questions. Yes, our 40 speakers, please send me all the questions. We are short in time. If you send me the questions to me, I will be able to ask. If you don't have any questions, I can ask a question. Yes, I want to see the questions. Now, I have the question for whoever wants to answer of our 40 speakers. And it says, how have you been demonstrated integrity? Who want to answer of our previous speakers? How have you been demonstrated integrity? Okay, go, Jim.
For me,
Kohli.
integrity is an interesting question. Most of the opportunities I've had that relate to integrity have to do with other folks asking me for advice about situations that they encounter. And my hope is that the same is true for most of us, because I think most of us probably have a reputation and image of being a straight shooter and following our principles and doing the right thing in the right circumstances. And it's been an interesting thing because it's a mentoring opportunity. When someone says to me, hey, I think this is what's happening, I don't feel good about it. And my position there is, well, the reason you don't feel good about it is because you're doing something that feels like it's an emotional or loyalty thing. And really, you know that that's not the right thing, and encourage them to do the right thing. And if they need more specific coaching rather than mentorship, I might even help them out with specific kinds of options that they can explore so that whatever the blowback is from trying to make the ship go in the right direction, that at least it's well managed.
Thank you very much. So we have just 2 more questions. I have the question and it says, What path project are they currently working on? That's for the other two speakers. Whoever wants to answer. What path project are they currently working on? Come on, Cesar, Roger.
Yeah, I'm going to answer that one because you know what? Here's the good thing about having the mentors that I've had. They've been constantly behind me saying, let's go, get on the road of the paths and everything like that. When I got my DTM in 2020, I was happy. I was elated because I said, finally, I finally got that done. And when Pathways came around, I was very slow. I admit it that I was very slow to get involved in it. But now I have 2 paths done. I did my presentation mastery, and I forgot what the first one was that I did. But I realized the importance of continuing to learn from this program, whether they've changed it or whether you want to stay stuck in the past. But the reality is that you have to keep moving forward. And even though it's a news program, we have to learn how to do it. I am glad that I've had people around me that keep saying, okay, come on, let's keep going. Doesn't matter how much success you've had, you can still learn more. And that's why I keep doing it.
Oh, thank you very much, Roger. And now I have a question, but just because of time, it says to ask all the speakers, but we just have Jean Kokocki who will answer your question. Yes, Jean Kokocki, are you ready? So your question is, how have you shared and adapted your Toastmaster speech for audiences outside of Toastmasters? How have you shared and adapted your Toastmaster speech for audience outside of Toastmasters? These
are all great questions and all worthy of long answers. So I'm editing as I think. As other speakers have talked about, you always need to consider your audience. Check in at the last minute. Whenever I'm doing a speech, I like to check with the person who invited me, say, who are they? What is their experience? And then manage the message. So it's always worthwhile to check in with who invited you. They want you to be successful. Find out what they expect from your audience, what their readiness is, and adapt based on that. Thanks, Maura.
Thank you very much. You know, I will advise from now on, have a good questions and answers should be like a woman's skirt, long enough to cover the subject and short enough to create interest. This will be our next questions and answers now. Thank you very much. And now we need to go to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Andy Little. Yes, Andy Little is our past international director. And Andy, our next speaker, has worked ED in the IT industry for over 40 years. And he currently runs his own IT consultant business that specializes in product quality assurance. Please welcome distinguished Toastmasters past international director, Andrew Little, where he will ask you, what is your problem? What is your problem? Andy Little. Woo! Come on. We are happy to see Andy Little.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Imagine you're walking down the street and a complete stranger walks up to you, looks you in the eyes, and says, what's your problem? I imagine right now your heart rate's going a little bit faster, your adrenaline's flowing, and your body's going into fight or flight mode. And that's a natural reaction. One thing I've learned over the years is I work in the IT industry and we deal with a lot of problems. And one thing that I've learned is everybody has problems. Everybody has problems. Some of them are small, some of them are big, but everybody has problems. You know, David Brooks talked about competition being good for you, but he used the word self-preservation in his speech. He considered competing a means of dealing with a self-preservation problem. Caesar talked about needing somebody to believe in him. So everybody, no matter where they're at in life or what they're doing, they have problems that they're dealing with. So as a IT professional, I've read thousands of resumes. I've conducted thousands of interviews, or hundreds at least. And one thing that we're taught during interviews is we're taught this method of understanding where people are at based on their ability to understand problems, because we're in the problem solving business. And the first level is that they're not aware of the problems. And so we can't hire people that don't know the problems that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, because we would have to teach them about what we call the problem space. The second level is they're aware of the problems, they know the problems, they'll complain about the problems, but they don't know how to fix them. We can hire those folks often, but we have to teach them how to solve the problems. And of course, the third level is people who have the experience and the background that they, number one, they know the problems that they'll face in the job that they're walking into. And they also know how to solve them. And these are what we call the ideal candidates. And even within these three categories, we can break them down even further to look at where they're at on that. But it's really rare to find somebody that's really a top end person. That being said, the process of solving problems is something that we do. It's a people issue. And I'll give you an example of something. I had to give a presentation to the CIO of the company recently. And I was worried about what am I going to say to him, because he's the big guy. And I got on the call about 5 minutes before the meeting started, and so did he. And I thought, well, this is a really great opportunity to ask him how things were going. And he let out a big sigh, and it sounded like he was really having a rough day. And so we chatted a little bit. I said, so what keeps you awake at night? And he goes, well, I have to give a presentation to the board of directors tomorrow, and to justify what we're doing on this project. And so once the meeting started, when I gave the presentation, I began talking in those terms. I said, I'm here to provide you with the information that you'll need to justify this project to the board of directors. Instead of talking about what I thought my problems were, I tried to address his problems. And at the end of the call, he was elated. He didn't have any questions, which was pretty rare for him. And he thanked me for the presentation and thanked me for my leadership. And it was interesting because I just took what I was going to present and I reframed it in a way to solve his problems for him, or at least deal with his problems for him. Now, some of you may be asking, what's this got to do with Toastmasters? Everybody that walks into a club as a guest has a problem. Now, they're going to belong in one of those three tranches. Either they're not aware of their problems, but they just feel that something's wrong, or they've got some awareness of it, they don't know how to fix it, or they're in the top level. And the top level people are just, again, they're fairly rare. What you're going to find is mostly people who don't really know what problems they're dealing with. And when they walk in, how do we solve their problem for them? And there's some simple ways of doing that. You can't just say, hey, what's your problem? Because it's going to freak them out. Right? They'll go into defense mode. They'll say, I don't have a problem. What we do is we ask a lot of questions. And from that, we're trying to figure out, what brought you to the meeting today? What do you want to get out of this meeting? And then we connect. So once we've heard from them what, some hints on their problems are, we try to tell a story of how, when we joined the club, we had a similar issue. And here's the things that, what it did to me and how it was holding me back. And, like Jim was talking about feeling like he needed to connect with his coworkers. I had similar issues. So I can connect on that. Say, hey, I had similar issues where I had difficulty connecting with my coworkers. I joined Toastmasters. I developed these skills, had great mentors, and I overcame those issues. So I talk about how I overcame the same problems. And if I begin to resonate with the person, you'll see them nodding and making eye contact and leaning in. Then you know that you're really connecting to what issues they have. If you can do this on a daily basis with the people in your Toastmaster club, not just the guests, but your existing members. You can do this at work. You can do this if you're running a business and you're trying to bring new customers into your business. It's the same process. It's exactly the same process. So my advice to anybody in any industry, whether you're coming or trying to get a job, whether you're running a business or whether you're running a Toastmasters club, is be a problem solver. Help other people solve their problems. I was talking to a friend of mine about this last night, and I said, you know, what if you did this all the time? He goes, you'd be the most popular guy in town. Because people just yearn for somebody to help them out. So again, be the problem solver, be the mentor, and great things will happen to you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Andy. And I really appreciate your speech a lot. Now, our speaker number 6, yes, is Alexandre Mate. He's our second world champion of public speaking winner, a passionate speaker and professional storyteller. Alexandre Mate shared his passion for storytelling with young audience across Canada. International recognized for his engaging workshop and presentations, he co-hosts the weekly Great Combos podcast. Alexandre transports his audience through time and space with his stories, while also sharing his love for storytelling at home with his little 3 daughters. So that's just beautiful. Now, Alexandre Mate, with his title, I Wouldn't Be Here Without You. I would not be here without you. Alexandre Mate, the floor is yours. I want this smiles. Come on, come on. We still have 1 hour. I can see you.
Merci. Thank you so much, Mara. It's a pleasure to be here. But where am I? I'm currently walking and accompanying one of my 3 daughters to a park. Now, if I'm walking while I'm speaking, I got to tell you, this is not something that I would have been able to do or would have even wanted to do 15, 20 years ago. So why am I able to do this now? And why do I actually enjoy it? Talking to people, how many are we? Over 100 people? Well, you might have guessed it. I couldn't be here without you. You being Toastmasters. In 2007, I had just a job in a new city. I had no family, no friends there. And I received an invitation from someone I'd never heard about, again. And she wrote, in the email, she wrote, come see what Toastmasters is about, what we can do for you. And I thought, all right, I've got nothing else to do. I might as well do something. And I searched a little bit what Toastmasters was before going to that meeting. Public speaking. And I thought, oh, this is not something that I want to do. I'm going to be among all these people who know how to speak in front of a crowd, polished speakers. I'm really far away from that. I will be embarrassed. And finally, I went there and I found out they were not necessarily polished speakers. They were from all different sorts of jobs, all walks of life, and they were just learning how to do something new. How to do something new. I participated in the table topics, and I was so nervous. I was shaking. And at the end, they gave me best table topic speaker. Woo! Now they have a tendency to do this with guests, so I don't know how special it was. But I realized that I was doing something uncomfortable. And later on, when I did become a member of the club, I found myself in more and more uncomfortable position. Thanks to the influence of my mentors, my friends. I'm going to do a shout out to a few of them. But everybody who has helped me throughout the years, there are too many to mention. In fact, last year, I did a presentation where I thanked people from Toastmasters who helped me along the way. And just naming them took 10 minutes. So all I will say is Stu Grisé, Richard Grisé, Michel Lafrance. Merci. Now, the first time that I participated, now what we can also learn in doing speeches is how to deal with interruptions, right? There was one. Now, the first time that I participated in a district conference, I remember the keynote speaker. It was Darren Lacroix, or he might say Darren Lacroix. Have you heard of him? 2001 world champion of public speaking. And he gave he gave a workshop on speaking, on how to make your speeches better. He was coaching, live coaching on stage. And when I saw, when he asked for 8 volunteers, I thought, wow, what a great opportunity for someone else. Because I thought, I'm not ready for this. I'm not good enough to go on stage with Darren Lacroix, the world champion of public speaking. So I stayed at my table, quietly drinking my tea and eating my, I think it was a muffin, or chocolate chip cookie, actually. And then something happened. I thought back, there was like a flashback of even before Toastmasters, when I was at a ski camp in British Columbia. A long time ago, I went to ski camp with some of the best coaches in Canada. And one of the activities was going on the official, what is it called? The official water ramp of Ski Canada's acrobatic skiing team. I forget the exact title. But this is, imagine a wooden ramp where you take you go with all your equipment to the top of the wooden ramp. You ski down as fast as you can, and on the bottom, there's a big jump. And on the other side of the jump, there's a pool. So you can do all the tricks you want to in the air. You can practice all that and not risking huge injury, right? So when my turn came, and all the other participants were going before me, one after the other, zwee, ploof, zwee, splush. When it was my turn, I chose not to go. I was afraid of not looking professional enough, not looking like an expert in front of people that I wanted to impress. So I just stayed in my corner because I thought I wasn't good enough. And there's this one girl who came over to me after jumping in the pool. She saw that I was completely dry. So she knew I didn't go and jump in the pool. And she said, "What's wrong? Are you afraid of learning something?" You know what I realized after that? The other participants of the camp going into the pool, were they experts? Were they professionals? No. And some of them were doing some ridiculous things in the air. But they were learning something. While I was what? Stuck in my corner watching the others? So now if we come back to my experience at the district conference, Darren Lacroix invites 8 people to go on stage. I stay in my corner. I let 8 other people go there. And what do I see? They're not experts. They're not champions. They're learning something. So I thought, oh, am I afraid of learning something? See, that was a moment where I really started getting out of my comfort zone. Any time that I had an opportunity to try something new, whether it was Toastmasters or outside of Toastmasters, I jumped on the occasion. Learning something new with Toastmasters is one thing, but when you take the opportunity to learn something new by making yourself uncomfortable in all sorts of situations outside of Toastmasters, it can completely transform your life. That district conference was one big step for that, but it all started when I joined as a guest at a small Toastmasters club in Sudbury, Ontario, and some people told me, maybe you can try something new. I wouldn't be here without you. For that, I thank you.
Thank you very much. And also for sharing when you were walking where you are and your little daughters. Thank you very much, Alexandre. Now, our next speaker is Maryam Ganni. I just want to see if I can see you. Can you see me? I can see you perfectly. Yes. Oh, you look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, I really love your makeup. Yes. Now I can hear you and also I can see you.
Can you hear
Maryam,
me?
yes, I can. Absolutely. Maryam Ganni is the third place world champion of public speaking. Maryam Ganni began her journey with Toastmasters in 2021, discovering the transformative power of mentorship in both and professional growth. Having losing her eyesight since the age of 21, she found mentorship to be a crucial part of her journey. With the support of her Toastmasters mentor and invaluable guidance from others throughout her life, she achieved the title of third world champion of public speaking. Woo! Well done, Maryam. Believes she wouldn't have reached this milestone without their encouragement and belief in her potential. Her speech and title, From Vision to Victory, reflect the lessons and insights gained along the way. Now it is her run to give back by sharing those experiences and insight with you. Please give welcome Maryam Ganni. From Vision to Victory, Maryam Ganni. Woo, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's 2017 and I've officially been labeled legally blind. Now I'm walking through the doors of a vision rehabilitation center in Montreal. And the first thing I was asked, what would you like to learn? I said, I don't know, teach me how to learn everything. Teach me how to live my life all over again. And the first person I came across was a career orientation specialist. Now, she right away became my mentor because the first thing I expressed with her, I felt comfortable expressing that. I said, and her name was Angélique. She was a lady, a French lady in her mid-40s. And I told her, Angélique, I'm so afraid to step out there with that white cane. I don't know what I'm going to do. I did say I want to learn everything, but this is really hard. People are going to look at me as I can't do anything. I'm incapable. They're going to judge me. And I'm simply broadcasting my vulnerability and my weakness to the world. And I remember she looked me straight in the eye, and don't ask me how I know she looked me in the eye. I just felt it. And she said something that I'll never forget. She said, young lady, she said, that white cane is not a symbol of where you can no longer go, but rather how far you have come. And she said, it is not going to hold you back, because if you use it to stand out rather than hiding or blending in, if you use it to stand out, it will propel you higher than you could have ever imagined. And I see that for you. So get out there and put yourself out there. And she said, you just have to remember something. You cannot let fear stop you. And she would say with her little French accent, she would always repeat, you have to be unstoppable. Be unstoppable. And I remember that. So I put myself out there. I took her advice, which was quite convincing, and I went to my first networking event. Now, I have to say the first couple of minutes, if not the whole hour, was the most uncomfortable thing I'd ever done because I had no idea what to do with that white cane. Do I fold it? Do I, hide it? Do I put it under my arm? Do I unfold it and stand straight with it? Do I lean on it and just kind of hang out and just wait for someone to come talk to me? Do I use it as a microphone? I don't know. Do I just pretend like it's a microphone? Hi, my name is Maryam. Nice to meet you. I had no idea because I kind of had a +1 now with me. I just didn't know what to do with it. I felt so watched, so judged, and labeled as legally blind and incapable. But all of a sudden, someone came up to me. He introduced himself as the speaker of the event. And he said, I'm so happy that you're here now because I'm actually going to speak about the book I wrote that I did. I wrote a book about a pilgrimage that I did with a woman who was blind next to me. And he said, I'm so glad because I was kind of feeling nervous and worried. At least someone in here is going to relate to my story and is going to relate to me. And then we started to talk and connect, and I started to share my story with him. And little did I know, other people started to come up to me and started to share their struggle and their stories. And I realized that I can share my story with the world. And that cane was actually a cane that a symbol of strength that had just opened doors of opportunities for me. And ever since then, I gained momentum. And that white cane, that same white cane, brought me to McGill University, where I restarted and I wanted to finish my degree. And the first class I walked into professional communications and networking. I met my second mentor. His name was Brendan. And he said, you know, you should share your story with the class. You know, you should start speaking for my course. Have you ever thought of becoming a speaker? And he said, Maryam, why don't you become my mystery speaker and I'll become your mentor? And I remember I was nervous, but I did it. And it was a little bit uncomfortable, but I managed. And I said, now what? He said, well, now you're going to just keep the momentum going. You're just going to keep practicing and gaining confidence. And so I did it. And next thing you know, that same white cane also brought me to Toastmasters in 2021. And the first 2 weeks that I joined, Scott McLaughlin, my third mentor, came up to me and said, hey, have you ever thought of competing? And I said, yes, sure, let's try it out. Might as well. I've gained the momentum now. I'd like to take another leap forward. And that's when I started to compete. And I remember a couple of months later. Thank you. A couple of months later, I received a call from the center. And somebody said, hey, Maryam, do you still need our services? Because we're going to have to change your career orientation specialist. And then I said, oh, how come? You know, I haven't heard from Angelique in quite a while now. Where has she been? And then they took, you know, she paused, the lady paused and said, well, she passed away. And I remember being so hurt because I believe that Angelique planted that seed in me. And I remember saying to them, no, I no longer need the career orientation services because I know exactly what I want to do now. And a couple of days or months or weeks later, I was on the treadmill and I remember looking on my phone and I saw it was September 11th and I remember it was her birthday. And I asked myself, I said, how can I honor this lady who literally changed, shifted my mindset? And I said, well, I'm going to call my programs Be Unstoppable. And the rest is history. And now, before I leave you off, I'd like to leave you off on this message and these couple of words, is that if there's one thing that I learned, it's very simple. It's that in life, in order to reach higher, you need to surround yourself with people who see further than you can see and further than you have ever imagined. And I came up with that, by the way. And I want to prompt you to ask yourself, who is in your corner, pushing you to reach higher, pushing you forward and encouraging you, helping you shift your mindset, build that momentum, and strive for mastery. And if you don't have anyone, I encourage you to get that person. Because when you surround yourself with people who can see further, there is no limit to how high you can go. And that's when you bring your vision to victory and become unstoppable. Thank you.
Maryam. And now our 8th speaker is Heather Perkins. She is past, I need to do my exercises, you know, I have been sitting too long now. Heather Perkins, she's our PRA. She's past regional advisor, distinguished Toastmaster. Heather Perkins has been a member for 45 years. Yes. Can you imagine all this time? And she was a charter member of 5 clubs and helped start many more. She has served in every club and most district leadership positions several times. Yes. She also served as an inaugural regional advisor for Region 9 and again a few years later for Region 5. Heather was awarded the Presidential Citation in 2004, and she currently belongs to 3 clubs. I want everybody give a happy welcome to Perkins Heather. We transform through Toastmasters. Transform through Toastmasters. Heather Perkins, the floor is yours.
Jim Kokocki mentioned transforming as a Toastmaster. With a show of hands, whether virtual or raising your actual hand, how many of you feel that you have changed since joining Toastmasters? Not surprisingly, pretty well everybody has put up their hands. We have that opportunity to transform through Toastmasters. Sometimes we don't recognize it in ourselves as quickly as others recognize it in us. We transform by gaining confidence. We learn how to organize our thoughts and become a more effective communicator. We develop leadership skills so that we can sell our ideas, something that Jim Kohli mentioned the need to be able to do. This morning, afternoon, evening, I'm going to share 5 transformational stories with you. First, there's Pat. Pat joined Toastmasters only a couple of years after women were allowed to join. People would hear Pat speak and say, "She's always been a good speaker." No. Pat would tell the story of how with her first meeting, she wrote her name on a piece of paper so that when she had to introduce herself, she wouldn't forget it. She even started to hyperventilate, holding a table and shaking the table. Pat went on in Toastmasters to compete in the district contest twice and to become a district governor. In her work, Pat, at the time when she joined, was in a supervisory position at a time when women didn't have a lot of opportunity for advancement. And this was a national company. When Pat retired, she was a senior manager because of the skills that she had developed in Toastmasters. The second story is about Kevin. Kevin was a young immigrant from Lebanon. He joined Toastmasters when he had just turned 19. We often talk about intergenerational differences and whether we can learn from each other. Kevin looked at me one day and said, "You're who I want to be when I grow up." Kevin went on to become a successful young entrepreneur. And then there's Greg. Greg worked for a major life insurance company in New York City. One day, Greg was giving a presentation at work, talking about his work, something that you would think he would be comfortable with. Greg froze in the middle of his presentation, and his manager had to finish the presentation for him. His manager told him that if he wanted to be able to progress within the company, he needed to do something about his problem with being able to speak in public. He suggested that he join Toastmasters. Greg did. Greg tells how when he was first scheduled to speak for quite a few meetings, people would come with a pillow and a blanket because they'd say, "Greg, if we're going to sleep, will you speak? We may as well be comfortable." Greg showed his leadership development in Toastmasters by being a district governor. Greg ended up being a senior vice president of this large insurance company in New York City. My fourth person is Jenny. Jenny was working for a not-for-profit organization here in Nova Scotia. A position came available, a higher-up position, and someone recommended to Jenny that she apply for it. Jenny didn't, because she didn't feel that she had the confidence or the skills to take on that position. Jenny joined Toastmasters. About 2 years later, an executive director position for another not-for-profit organization became available. Jenny by then had developed enough confidence that she applied for the job and she got the job. She now runs a province-wide not-for-profit organization. These are all people who I mentored, and in many ways, they mentored me. And then there's me. I did not want to go to Toastmasters. Alexandre said he didn't want to. My reasons were different. I knew I needed it. When I got up to speak, people wouldn't think I was nervous. I spoke quickly. I didn't shake outwardly. Every blood vessel in my body shook. I needed recovery time. Once I sat down, I couldn't stand up again for at least 30 minutes. I may as well have just finished running the Boston Marathon, the way my legs felt. But I thought, going and listening to people speak and having to speak yourself, how boring would that be? I found that I enjoyed myself, so I decided to stay. I have, as was mentioned, taken on various leadership roles at various levels. I have been mentored. It has been a definite transformational process. And most importantly, I have been able to use the skills that I learned in my professional life. For 30 years, I worked as a program evaluation consultant. I had to train. I had to conduct focus groups. I had to do individual interviews. I could not have done those prior to Toastmasters. Transformation doesn't end at a given point in time. Whether you've been a member for 1, 5, 10, or even 45 years like I've been, we can all continue to transform through Toastmasters. Maura.
Thank you very much for this. I want to say that it will be the question and answers. And there are two people who put two questions, one for Maryam and another for Andy. So please try to think about the other two questions for Heather and also for Alexandre. Now, the first question for Maryam is, how can a Toastmaster club best support a blind member? How can a Toastmaster club best support a blind member? This question is for Maryam. And I will give the questions also to Andy. In this case, when Maryam is trying to join, you follow. Yeah? Andy, are you ready? Well, I think that I will ask you the question as Maryam is connected. Yeah. Ready? Ready for the question? Yes.
I'm ready.
Now, Andy, somebody asks you, some people don't want to solve their problem. They just want you to listen to their problem. Can we best tell them difference and how?
So some people just want you to listen to their problem. That can be a problem in itself. You know, it's interesting. It's like, what problem are we solving? And for some people, loneliness is a problem. Isolation is a problem. Depression is at record level highs in the world. The internet has not made people more connected. It's made people more disconnected. And Toastmasters provides an opportunity for people just to have somebody to talk to. And it's an important thing for human beings to connect with each other. And so, redirect some of that those feelings and get them focused on the future, get them focused on helping other people, and that will help them. It will help heal. You know, I always say that Toastmasters is very cathartic. It helps heal us. And, you know, these are people that need some healing, and Toastmasters is the place to do that.
Thank you very much. And now I have the question for Heather. I have two questions for Heather, but I will just put you one because the other one will be for Alexandre because we are running late in time. So how do you reinvent yourself as a Toastmaster to keep the experience fresh? How do you reinvent yourself as a Toastmaster to keep the experience fresh?
I think one way is the fact that there are always new members coming in. They don't know you. They have no history. So you're always having to let them know who you are, work with them. And I believe strongly in pathways. I've done all 11 paths. I've done some of them several times. And some people will say, well, I don't understand how you can do icebreakers. And I say, if you can tell everybody everything about yourself in 4 to 6 minutes, you've led a much more boring life than I have. And I don't think I've led a particularly exciting life. We have stories. We need to sometimes just look at things differently to bring those stories to life. And sometimes those new members can help inspire us to find those stories. And that helps to keep things fresh.
Thank you very much. And the next questions, are you ready, Alexander? Yes. Now your question is, how do you find the courage to share your vulnerable moments when speaking? How do you find the courage to share your vulnerable moments when speaking?
Wow, great question. I can tell you that the first speeches that I gave when at the club level, and maybe even when I started competing, I was not ready to go, you know, as far as I do now, sharing, you know, as you say, vulnerability. Is it courage? I'm not sure. I think it has something to do with seeing the result of sharing that vulnerability. You can have a bigger impact on your audience when you share your message, when you really let your audience know what you've been through, your darkest moments, your biggest failures. When you do that, that's when you get the biggest results. When people come after a speech, after a presentation, and say, okay, that's going to change what I do. That's going to change, in some cases, you changed my life. So I'm not sure that it's courage as much as the realization that sharing your true vulnerability is the best way to have an impact on your audience.
Oh, thank you very much, Alexander. And then, Maryam, I have a question for you. How can a Toastmaster club best support a blind member? How can a Toastmaster club best support a blind member?
Thank you for the question. So I would say just make everything very, very visual. Make sure that there's no auditory. No, I'm just kidding. I take it very lightly, and I think it's individual. You know, it depends on every individual because it's a spectrum. You know, someone who's blind can also not be fully blind like myself and can see certain things. So I guess ask them, you know, communicate with them, which makes sense because we're a Toastmaster. So ask them what they need. And most of the time, people who cannot, you know, who have a hard time seeing, who have that limitation, will express it. Like I spoke to Tosin a couple of days ago, and I asked her to have an auditory signal, and we agreed on something. So, you know, replace the visual things like the you know, the green light, the yellow light, the red light with auditory signals. And also don't expect them to do what you're doing, for example, to be quick, you know, on the computer, sending messages, reading the chat. You know, like it took me quite some time to change my name. Like it takes time to do these things. So just, you know, have some patience and ask them what they want, you know, just communicate it, you know, address the elephant in the room. That's how I would end it.
You're muted, Maura.
Yes, my little kitten is supporting the team number 7. He's clicking the buttons. Now is a great time to have a fun time because now we are having the fun master, Hayati. Hayati is giving us today the best time and it helps us as a little break. So please, I want everybody welcome to Hayati, our fun master.
Maura.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Maura.
Yeah.
We are only have 20 minutes for you to finish with all your speakers because we are going to the next segment. Please finish in 20 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, so what I will do, I will go with the 3 speakers, and if we have time, we do the questions and the fun. Yeah, everybody's happy? Yeah, okay, it's what I want to see, but don't worry, we will have everybody. That's for sure. And watch the time, very important. Don't put pressure. Now, Mary Swanson. Mary Swanson joined Toastmasters in 1994 at the suggestion of her boss. Yes, Mary planned to stay with Toastmasters for 1 year, and 30 years later, Mary has served as a district director in 2004 and 2005, and regional advisor from 2017 to 2019. She has been a member of Super Speakers based on Eden Prairie, Minnesota for over 25 years. Mary has earned three TTMs, yes, and is close to achieve her 4th, yes, oh my God, and his first in Pathways. Mary Swanson has been married to Gary for 29 years and live in the Minneapolis area of Minnesota. Distinguished Toastmasters, Mary Swanson. Please give a welcome to Mary Swanson with her speech, Grow Through Leadership. Go Through Leadership. Mary Swanson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Maura. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. This is quite an honor to be here today amongst all these fabulous speakers. Why did I join Toastmasters? My boss told me I had to on a performance review. That may or may not be how you joined Toastmasters, but that certainly was my introduction to the organization. And as Maura said in my introduction, I had only planned to stay 1 year, as that is what my boss told me I had to do. I had to stay 1 year, but she felt that I would get enough experience to get hooked, and that certainly was the case. My involvement in Toastmasters, as I became a member reluctantly, started, of course, with my icebreaker speech. I don't know about each of you as Toastmasters what your icebreaker was like, but mine was anything but easy and anything but comfortable for myself. I and the lectern, which was a very heavy lectern, traveled across the room during the course of my 4 minutes of speech. When I saw the green light, I sat down mid-sentence. I wiped my brow and I thought I made it. I didn't faint, I was good. Then I had my evaluation. My evaluator was so kind and so gentle in her evaluation of me. Rather than fearing and walking away feeling terrible, I actually felt very good about myself as a result of that evaluation. Not only that, my evaluator came up after that icebreaker speech and offered to be my mentor. I thought, wow, here is someone that wants to help me. I have to keep going. As I became involved more in that club, I began to realize how much I appreciated getting in the situations of table topics and having to force myself to answer. My very first table topics question, I answered, no, thank you, and sat down. From that point, I thought, oh goodness, I'm going to be the best person in each of the roles within a meeting, so I didn't have to sign up to speak. Sure enough, my mentor noticed I wasn't giving speeches and encouraged me to do that and offered to have me come to her home to sit down and work out what my next speech would be. Unfortunately, I changed jobs, went to a new employer, and at that employer, I got into my job. And you're wondering what happened to Toastmasters? Sure enough, my mentor's husband was a member of the new club. He came and found me at my desk and walked me down to the Toastmaster club that met downstairs. This gentleman had been a past international director. This gentleman had been a past competitor in the World Championship. He made sure that I was speaking on a regular basis, participating in meetings, and getting mentorship besides. Fast forward a little bit, I was elected, much to my surprise, as president of the club, a club with 40 plus members. They did not let me get by with not speaking. They did not let me get by with saying no. Working through that club, having wonderful evaluations, the opportunity came my way to be an area director. Back then it was area governor. I said no at first, but of course, through the encouragement of that mentor and other people in my club, I said yes. It wasn't because it was easy, it's because it was difficult for me. It forced me to have to speak amongst people I was not comfortable talking to. What did I know that would have any value to them? There was a particular club that was struggling to gain members. They didn't want anyone to work with that club. I asked them if I could join their group as a second club. Together we worked on it and they became distinguished that year. Fast forward to district leadership. And yes, over the course of the years, I went through and I was division governor and then district, went through the district leadership. The first time I ran for what back then was Lieutenant Governor of Marketing, I lost by 1 vote. I walked away from that experience thinking, you know what? I don't need this. I can do other things with my time. Sure enough, many people stepped forward and encouraged me to reconsider, not because it was easy, but because I could overcome that challenge and improve my leadership skills. Sure enough, the next year I ran and I won. And now I have had many years of leadership experience. Again, not because it was easy, it's because it was difficult to do that. Being a district leader or being district governor, not everything went the way we wanted it to. We had a year where we had a number of companies in the Minneapolis area leave, shut down on short notice. It was difficult to be a distinguished district when we were losing clubs with many members all at once. Through that experience, I learned a number of different ways to encourage clubs to grow members. And membership growth has been something that's been a passion of mine ever since. Fast forward, I had an opportunity to serve as region advisor, working with districts, not because they were always getting along, not because everything was always just peachy keen with them, because they were needing encouragement, mentorship, and growth, learning how to work together, even though they hadn't necessarily planned to be on the same team together. We found ways for them to improve their skills and to get along just enough in order for their teams to be successful. And we had 2 very successful years while I served as region advisor, not because of my skills, but because of theirs. The main message I want to leave you today is if you get an opportunity to be a leader in Toastmasters, don't do it because it's easy. And certainly don't do it because you already have the skill. Do it because you're willing to grow in your leadership skills while helping others do the same. And my wish for you is to have the wonderful experience in Toastmasters that I have had the past 30 years. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Heather. And now we have Marc Williams. Marc Williams is our next speaker, and he's a finalist from the world champion of a finalist from the champion of public speaker, text talker, and author of three books: The Rule of Engagement for Public Speaking, Every Day Should Be Tuesday. Oh, we are on Saturday. And Beyond Limitations. He co-hosts the web show Is About to Go Down with Marc and Kathy, co-founder of the Speaker Skills Academy. Marc has also been a core coach for the Great Day Squad and a storytelling consultant for Story 2 and Storyhood. When he's not working, this world champion of Mama Boy, he spent quality time with his wife and her little children. So I want everybody give a welcome to Marc Williams. Marc Williams with her title, You Are Mama. You Are Mama. Marc Williams, the floor is yours.
All right, I got to start off by asking everybody to join me in just appreciating what's happening here right now. Here we are. People, leaders, Toastmasters, individuals from all around the world gathered as one and united. No problems, no conflict, no drama. Just love. I've got so much love for my Toastmasters family. And just imagine what the rest of the world could learn from our gathering here today. It'd probably be the same lesson that I got from my mama. When I was 10 years old, I got into a fight. And when my mother found out, she was so furious that she didn't ask me why. And I didn't explain. Because I know that quote about motherhood. When your mother said, "What?" It wasn't because she didn't hear you. It was because she was giving you a chance to change what you said. But I'll tell you, the reason why I kicked that boy in his stomach so hard was because he said two words that offended me more than anything. Your mama. And then I lost it. Has anyone ever said something to you that just drove you mad? He didn't know how much I love my mama. And I don't know about you, but I got that Tupac love, that dear mama, you all appreciate it. That Boys to Men love. Mama, loving you is like food to my soul. I love my mama so much, I celebrate Mother's Day 365 days in a year. And I believe everyone should love their mother as much as you would hope to be loved by your mama. After all, what kind of person could you be? What kind of world could you create because of your mama? Because of mine, I'm a loving husband, a happy father, dedicated educator, proud Toastmaster. But more than all of that, I'm a self-proclaimed world champion of mama's boys. Because when I was growing up, as far as I was concerned, my mother could do no wrong. But there were some things she couldn't do. My mom couldn't read or write. She never went to school past the 3rd grade. So she could take me to school, but she couldn't help me with my schoolwork. Single and unemployed, she couldn't give me much. She raised me on welfare, Medicaid, and food stamps. But even though she couldn't give me the things that I wanted, she taught me valuable lessons. Like when I was 9 years old and I walked into her kitchen like I owned the place. "Mommy, I'm hungry. I want a bowl of cereal." She looked at me and she said, Why don't you go over there and get it yourself? But I don't want to get it myself. I want you to get it. And that's when she leaned in and she said, what? And then she said something so profound that I now repeat it to my grandchildren. If you don't want to go over there and get it yourself, then you don't really want it. And those were the words that taught me that you can either work for what you say you want or figure out what you don't want and stop wasting your time and other people's energies. Another lesson was when she received her certificate of completion from a literacy program that she enrolled in her 60s, well beyond the point of learning to read or write. And even though by the end of that program, all she could do was draw the letters of her name, Johanna, that was more than most could expect. So when she received her award, I was so inspired to be like my mama, someone who would do anything despite the odds. And it's lessons like that that made it so hard in the summer of '96 when we got the news that after a fight with 4th stage cancer, my mommy had passed away. And I cried so hard that I still have tears in my heart. And I remember going to the cemetery, sitting on the cold ground, looking up at the sky and asking, what did I do so wrong that you had to take my mommy away from me? And then I looked at her name. And I thought about times when I was so sick that she would feed me chicken noodle soup, wrap me in extra layers to keep me warm. And I thought about all that she had provided for me. And that's when I realized that I needed to stop asking why. And I needed to start saying, thank you for my mama. I'm becoming the person I want to be in a world I want to create because she taught me how to love myself and how to love others. And here's why that's important. Because we live in a difficult world filled with war, crime, hate, corruption, injustice, timekeeping. And what this world could really use right now is a mother's love. Imagine how wonderful this place could be if we could just all love one another as much as you would hope to be loved by your mama. And no matter what your relationship has been, good, bad, or indifferent, we're all capable of showing that kind of love. Because loving like a mother, it's not bound by blood, paperwork, or gender. Loving like a mother is simply defined by the object of your love. And when you can love unconditionally in a way that someone needs in that moment, then you are loving like a mother or like anyone else who's loved you most. Dad, mom, grandparent, close friend. What have you learned about how to love others from those who've loved you most? I wish I can go back and apologize to that boy for kicking him in the stomach like my mom would want me to, but I can't. What I can do, though, is I can ask you and I can ask myself to love another like a mother. When you're in conflict with someone, love that person like another. When you're feeling discouraged, love yourself like a mother. Because there is no love that is greater than when you, for yourself, for others, and for the world at large, can love and lead like a mom.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Dennis Wooldridge. He served as an international director 2014-2016 on the Toastmasters International Board of Directors and has held a number of other profiles, leadership positions, and has attained the distinguished Toastmaster designation, the highest level of achievement of the organization. I want everybody to welcome. Yes, you're smiling. The last one is smiling is what I want to see. Thank you. So Please give welcome to Dennis Wooldridge with his speech entitled The Leader as the Pathfinder, the Leader as a Pathfinder, Wooldridge's Dennis.
Thank you very much, Maura. And I want to tell Marc, I'm not crying, you're crying. That was such a great speech. And one of the things we have to be as Toastmasters is flexible. So I know we're running late on time. So I'm going to go through what I have to say fairly quickly, and I'll give you something at the end that you can go look up to learn more. But I want us to think of leaders and how leaders are pathfinders, are torchbearers, is the term I really like to use. And that we have vision, as much as Maryam was talking about. That you look for somebody that can see further, that can see into the future, that sees a goal that needs to be attained. Jim Kokocki also talked about vision. I think that's very important, but that's what a leader is. And listen, leaders aren't necessarily the people at the top of the organizational chart. A leader is anyone who could see a better future, and then rally people to reach that better future. Leaders stand on the border between now and the future. They are, as Roger said earlier, a bridge between the known and the unknown. They are torchbearers. Now, listen, when we need to do something special, we've got a goal we're trying to reach, one of the hardest things to overcome is change. And the way you overcome change is you tell the people that are following you, your travelers with you, if you will, if we're using tribal terms. You tell them in stories, and you tell them in ways that they understand why it is they need to be excited about this goal we're going after. And if you can do that, and you can get your travelers to go with you, some are going to have to take a leap of faith into what they don't understand, what they don't see, what they don't really have the vision of. And sometimes when they jump into that, they're going to get into a valley that's filled with obstacles and challenges and dragons. And then what we have to do is slay the dragons and overcome the obstacles. And one of the biggest obstacles is the idea of climbing that next mountain. Because what we have is we standing where we are, and that torchbearer, that leader, sees a better future ahead on the next hill. And then after you get to that next hill, you celebrate. You tell each other how wonderful it was to get to the hill. And then you wait for the opportunity to look to the next hill. So what I would like for you to do, if you would, please, to learn more about what I've been talking about, because I really did want to make sure that we got out on time, is there's a book that I want to recommend to you. I'm trying to find it right now. Bear with me just a second. I had all this on slides, so I'm having to go through the slides. It is called Illuminate. Illuminate. And it's by Nancy Duarte and Patty Sanchez. And their torchbearer philosophy has meant the world to me. It really changed the way I approach leadership. So thank you very much to the group that organized this. It's been great today. And I hope that all of you will be willing to pick up your torch and lead your travelers.
Thank you very much, Denny. And this is a beautiful opportunity to invite you again. Yes, I want to listen again to your speech. And thank you for your patience. Now, I want to pass, first of all, I know that we are over time, but honestly, I want that they send love to all our 11 speakers who speak tonight. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. So I just want to pass over to our team leader, Tosin.
Thank you so much. That was amazing, Maura. And again, thank you to all our speakers. Because we have literally run out of time, we won't be able to do anything else at this point. But we do have time to take a photo. So I'd like everybody to turn on their videos. And let's take our group photo for our Team 7. So please turn on your videos, everyone. Let's capture this moment. And I'm going to go to the first page. Everybody ready? Give me a minute here. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, smiling. 1, 2, 3. I'm on the first page. Okay, give me a minute here. Yeah, okay. That didn't quite work. We'll try that again. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the second page. Just, I don't know what page you're on. Just keep smiling. I'm on page 2. Keep smiling. And we're going to take this one as well. And on the last page, okay, there's nobody on this one, but I'll take it anyway. Okay. That's great. Okay, very good. So now, as we come to the end of this session, I want to again thank everyone, all the role players, all the speakers, everyone who has been here. And now I am going to turn it over to Team 8. We're in for another great session with Team 8 coming all the way from the US. I'm turning it over to team leader, Roshna. Roshna, over to you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Team Leader Tosin. Assembly.